Well, here we are again.
Hi.
How many days till we open?
Too little.
I just show up.
Right, so okay, today's Tuesday?
This is why I don't leave it up to you guys. We open Friday. Today's Tuesday. Are you ready?
I can't go past.
Yes, we're ready. We don't feel it at the moment. No, we're happy to have these next, 2 days?
2 days?
2 days, running the show a few more times. So that'll be really nice. Help cement it, and I'm sure we'll all feel a little better.
So what's different now than the last time we did this a week ago?
Wow, we have costumes, we have lights, we've worked through some problem spots. We're kind of at the point, the last time we talked, we could still kind of call for help from our stage management and get some help. Right. And at this point, it's all us. If an elephant runs through the room,
we need to act like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Our set has come a long way. We're working with props now.
Got music.
Yeah, and then of course the minute you get all this stuff in your hands, then you think of all this other really neat things, like stuff you want to do with it, and then you don't have time.
Wait, let me change this.
We're not changing the blocking. We're not doing any more cute things. We added some stuff last night and done. Hopefully we're where we're going to be as far as moving and holding things goes.
You really start feeling like the character at this point. Everything was work before. It's like putting the first couple layers on an oil painting, and then suddenly you're adding little bits of light here and there, and it's like, wow, that's beautiful. That actually works.
It is a picture.
Yeah.
I think since last time we've all gotten a little more like realistic, a little more believable too. You know what I mean? And the chemistry's kind of gelled on with people. And
well, now that the lines are mostly memorized, we're able to really start feeling them and delivering them with a little more feeling.
Right, it's like, wow, I looked in your eyes when I said that this time. It felt great.
Instead of looking at the script?
Right. Or just looking,
just searching.
Blankly.
Like, shit, what was that? Wait, how does it go? What's the order?
The scary part, though, is that once you actually start to feel your lines, everything just goes. You're feeling this emotion, and it's like when you're having a heart-to-heart with a friend, you might have planned out something to say, but when you actually start feeling, it just, everything goes away. Well, I know what I want to say. I hope it's right.
This might just be the gist. Here goes.
But hope you can get a cue out of this.
Yeah. You say something now.
Right.
Tag, you're it.
I think you guys are starting to tell the story, which is, this is exactly the time that you should be. And it's really starting to come together. And the depth of the characters is coming out. The three dimensions that these human beings are really coming out. It's not just walking around and saying your lines in the right order.
Right.
There are actually people inhabiting the world now, which is really great.
It's amazing what happens with just a little bit of light and a little bit of costume and a little bit of makeup and a little bit of sound, just getting those components together. Suddenly this entire world is a reality and not just on paper. And we really have an amazing team behind the scenes it's just made this process so easy.
Yeah.
So I need to shout out to them.
There they are.
Yeah, you don't have to shout too far.
No.
Robert, you're coming from Merced, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm a student at UC Merced, so I'm commuting up here an hour and a half to do this.
God bless you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had 2 midterms this week, or have, as my next one's on Thursday. So.
Wow.
You sleep.
Wow, yeah, busy week.
Oh, actually, yeah, I sleep a lot. I'm blessed with being.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with being a little bit.
Narcoleptic?
No, I have a good memory, and I can think through things fairly well. Yeah.
Now, this is a question out of left field. Is Michelle Obama still going to do your commencement?
Oh yeah, actually
Very cool.
today I watched them start putting together the spot where the commencement's going to be, and they put this gigantic sculpture in today. It's like 30 or 40 feet tall, and it's these 2 stainless steel spires, essentially. It's really neat, and I watched them put that in today with a big old crane. It was really cool.
Right before you got in the car and drove to rehearsal.
Actually, yes. I was standing there with my camera phone going snap, snap, and there it is.
Susanna, what's different for you and Hattie between over the last week? What's changed?
Well, typically, you start kind of mellow with the character. I mean, whatever comes to mind, the way you say the things and the way you interact with people. And I know that I started getting more comfortable with it, and so I started actually putting more into it, and it became too much. So I actually had to get brought back a little bit, which is a great place to be, because it's a lot easier to just tone yourself down a little bit than to realize you're not actually meeting something, you're not actually getting to where you need to be at. So I'm just having a great time with Hattie, I'm the different things she says, and the more I read it, the more you find these extra meanings in there, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I get it. That's why I say that. Oh, of course. And so it's just great. She's gelling more and making more sense to me, and I'm just having a blast because I just get to open my mouth and how it comes, and it's up to the director to tell me whether or not that was too much. So I kind of get to go there. So yeah, I'm just a lot more comfortable. I know a lot more of my lines more solidly now, and it's a good place to be.
So you ready for an audience?
I am. I'm fighting a terrible cold, of course, this week.
As we all will be soon.
Yeah, you're welcome, everyone,
Just getting over it.
anytime. So I'm backstage drinking tea and eating cough drops, and please just don't do anything stupid on stage. So a little stressful. I'd like a little bit more sleep, but I think you always feel like that during the last week. So doing good.
Good. Sean, other than those great boots, what's different for you over the last week?
I don't know. Just now that I'm more off book and more comfortable with the character, it's easy to read lines and do it with an accent, but it's hard to develop a character when you're constantly having to refer to your script. You know what I mean? So I've gotten off book and I'm feeling a little more comfortable with the character. I've known a lot of people like him, so it's kind of I've taken many people that I've known throughout my life and added little bits of them into the character, just because it seemed befitting, you know what I mean? So I just feel more, I feel worse for Roy, you know what I mean, now that I've gotten him, he's just got no logic, he has no train of thought, really, he can't understand anything that's right in front of his face. So it was kind of I'm very logical, like I like to think about things, and I'm very analytical with things, so it's hard for me to step back and be like, well, why wouldn't he think this, why wouldn't he think that, But once I was able to do that, just kind of throw the logic out the window with him, it was really easy to play him.
Cool. Now, Cindy, you have been in this play before?
I have. Several years ago, I played Hattie in a production of Kylie's Dinner Theater in Lodi. So, yeah, this has been a little switch around. And I just told Susanna the other day, sometimes you go see a play and you've played that role before, and you naturally sit in the audience and critique that person. And I haven't been able to do that with Susanna because she's just nailed it in ways that I don't think I ever did. So at first I was a little disgruntled that she got Hattie. Well, nobody told me. Who didn't, but she's a kick with Hattie. She's wonderful, and the role is perfect for her. So taking on Amy Lee has been kind of cool and a different route for me. And you just asked, someone else in the last week how you've changed and how your character has evolved, and I'm feeling a little more self-righteous this week, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Good.
Spot on.
Good.
Spot on.
Well, I have to say that I think you're doing a wonderful job with Amy Lee. She's really great.
I think so too.
She's got that laugh, that little
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
I remember when I was sitting and watching the girls, and that was also fun to do, was watch, because they're just amazing. They're so good. And you kind of watch them from the beginning to the progression now, and they've totally just nailed it, you know what I mean? They portray these characters the way that I think the author wrote them, so I think
Wow.
of James McClurkin,
There's
he'd
so
be
much
really proud of you.
information.
Thank you. Wow. What's that?
And there's
And you've got
information
this
about our
depth to you,
part.
this quiet, it's so good watching you just, when you're thinking about Roy and watching how you transition, and you're just great with, the wackiness and the kind of, with the whole bridge scene, you know what I mean? And your laugh, like just watching that, it's amazing to watch how that works.
That's why I married him.
Tom, were you going to say something?
I was saying that watching the girls do their part gave me a lot more information about our part.
Right.
Right.
That
Makes
too.
a lot more sense now.
Right.
Yeah, watching the boys was enlightening. in
Right,
some
watching her, I'm like,
ways.
God, I'm really an asshole. Wow.
That's funny because I'm going, oh, that poor guy.
Yeah.
He's just really struggling. I just.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of nice to have a face to the names that we're talking about and a character.
Right,
and
right.
Now every time I talk about Cletus or I defend him from he's not Skeeter anymore, he ain't Skeeter no more. You know, now I have him in my mind. I know
Uh-huh.
who I'm defending. I know who my man is, and I'm sticking up for him.
Right, even though he does overstock everything.
Even though I wear the pants and I
yeah.
tell him what to do.
It's that same way with Roy, because I've got that scene over there where I'm talking about Elizabeth, and I'm really starting to realize how much I love her and how good she's been to me, and like, wow.
She's been good to you.
She's been good to me, you know what I mean? And so now I've got this character, and watching her do that, be like, God, just seeing how I've torn this woman apart, it's really easier for me to be over there and know, you know, like Elizabeth. You know what I mean? She's Elizabeth to me now. It's great.
This is a prime example of how there's two sides to every story.
Yeah.
If you only
Right,
saw
right,
Laundry and
right.
Murder, you'd think our husbands were a bunch of jerks. If
Right.
you only saw Lone Star, you'd go, well, this stupid women, you know?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
She did to him.
Right.
But putting the two stories together, you really, like you were saying, Graham, the characters have really got a life of their own.
Right.
They're very real. Yeah.
Three-dimensional, right?
Yeah.
It's been a really soulful journey figuring out Roy and Elizabeth for me.
Yes.
I have a lot of friends who went off to Iraq, or a lot of friends who married men who went off to Iraq and are going through a lot of the same stuff. And I mean, it hits really close to home. And I've been trying to talk a few of my friends into leaving their husbands because they've been doing some of the stuff that Roy does to Elizabeth, and suddenly I'm in the position of having to go through that and think about it and like, gosh, you know, my character isn't.
Right.
You know,
And
isn't it
when you
abandoning
love someone,
him?
you know,
Yeah.
logic's out the window. And
So
Why
it's-
don't you?
and I
Why don't
think-
you abandon him? If you've been so good to him, and he's been so wrong to you.
because we're madly in love.
Well, there's that, and there's also the understanding that this is a phase that's going on. He's sick. You know, there's something happening here that that
and he went to Vietnam and he came back and was not the same. Nothing was the same.
I can't control this. All I can do is be there.
And I expected to come back to everything being like it was,
Right.
and nothing was like that for me.
Right.
So he
being
thinks
over
everything
there, you know
else
what I mean?
changed,
right?
but really-
I changed. It's
Exactly.
that whole transition, because
It's
things
still the
really
same.
kind of did stay the same around here, but not to me.
And
You know
it's-
what I mean? And it was
Yeah.
hard kind of conquering that.
Mhm.
There's a couple of lines where he makes reference to that, you know, and at first I didn't quite understand the line. I'm like, I'm not sure how to deliver this, you know, but then once you kind of get into his whole trauma and everything that he went through, you know, like he saw babies burn, that, you know, that would change
That'll
someone.
affect you.
Right, so.
Right.
And it's not something you can just come back from
No, ever.
instantly. You know, there's a long, hard process, and some people never.
Right,
never
I
come
have an
back,
uncle
you
who's
know?
in Vietnam, and he's not, he did things that he's ashamed of, you know what I mean? And so I kind of see how that's affected him, and he's part of an inspiration for how I've, you know what I mean, taken
I
on.
really hope that a lot of veterans come and actually tell us, give us some feedback.
Right.
You know, how are we doing?
Right.
Are we hitting on this? You know, what do you think about it? I would love to talk to people about this
Right.
because I think it's very, it's a good time for this to come out. I
Right,
think.
exactly, with what's going on in our world today, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
things like that, it's very relevant.
Sorry.
Well,
to
I wish my husband was here to talk to.
Susan, can I ask a question? I was gonna ask, once the girls got to watch the guys play and the guys got to watch the girls, what's it like, you know, you don't have a counterpart? in the-
Surprising. Wow. It's kind of news to me, actually. Yeah, we sat down to watch the boys' show because you know, again, we wanted to see how it compares and how it differs and maybe try to understand ourselves a little better with that. And so I just kept waiting and waiting, and like it finally occurred to me, wait a minute. Vernon's not in this play, and he's not mentioned, and he's not in it. And then my boyfriend has talked about, my boyfriend from high school,
Right.
has talked about a lot in our girls' play also, and he's not in it. So he is brought up, and he is talked about a little bit by Roy when they were in high school and after high school, and used to do all their, you know.
Right, but you're
That's
not
the
talking
page.
about it all in the second half.
Right, I'm not.
At
So
all.
it did help me to understand more about my best friend Elizabeth, though, because we talk so much about her relationship and what her husband is doing to her, and you know, Hattie can't understand a lot of that. I mean, she's got no patience for it, And so to try, and Susanna doesn't either. Susanna has no patience with it either, you know. So I think it did help to interact with Elizabeth a little bit more to see, you know, what her husband was actually like. And you know, I mean, I talk about the car, and he talks about the car, and so there are
We
still
all talk about the car.
There's still definitely, you know, moments that do have to do with me simply because I talk about those things in our play. But yeah, I was kind of bummed.
It's
Like,
funny.
wow, my husband's not messed up enough to be behind the bar with you guys. You know? Why not? So yeah,
He's trying to raise 3 kids.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my
Well,
fault.
That mic's sticking behind the
Well, he's got to
back.
support you, right? I mean,
Which he sort of does.
Vernon Dealin is underneath the car somewhere, trying to make a couple of bucks to, you know, put his
Couple
kids through
bucks is
school.
right.
Yeah.
It's really funny because she's on stage the entire time in our show. She doesn't leave the stage, really.
It's
In our
awesome.
show, you're the
What now?
In our show, you're the only one.
Yeah, I don't have a counterpart to Laundry and Bourbon either.
And you're
I
not,
didn't know you existed.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
not mentioned
Yeah.
in Laundry and Bourbon.
But I'm on the stage for Lone Star the entire play except for the very first 8 lines of the show, or
Right.
10 actually.
My own line.
But who's
Yeah,
counting?
when
Right.
it's just way out there. I gotta go 1, 2, 3. Is that 4? Yeah, but I'm there the entire time, and it's kind of interesting that those 2 characters who don't have their counterparts in the other show
Yeah.
are kind of they're
Major.
there. They're
They're
really
major,
relevant.
too,
to
right?
it.
They're
Both stories.
really seminal to the story that they're in.
Well,
Yeah.
just as our female or male counterparts in the real world, you know, they don't always have the same social groups. They're not
Right.
always in the same spot,
True.
but they're so important to maintaining our relationships in reality as
Right.
well.
Good. And you open Friday, April 24th.
Yes.
That's what you say.
April
What time?
24th.
I'm just gonna be here.
We have a 7 o'clock call,
Yeah?
7:15 fight call.
That's right.
The
Yes?
show starts at 8.
At 8
Good
o'clock.
job, Susanna!
All right. Good. So how about if we get stage management up here? Come on.
Come on, Derek, come on.
No?
No.
Come
Oh,
on. All right. That's
They're
all right. I don't get on
amazing.
camera either.
our costumer, our sound tech, our stage manager. I guess you do more. You're like the ASM, aren't you? You're
Yes.
assistant stage manager. He's more than just sound.
And of course
And
the
our
director.
It's
Yeah,
just been
It's been
amazing.
great how you've working with you. It's been
I
really fun.
mentioned earlier that we have to deal with an elephant if it runs through the room. If an elephant ran through the room,
We'd shoot it.
we'd be fine.
We'd be
They'd,
fine,
they'd have
right.
it. We'd have elephant
have
steaks or
elephant-
something.
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
not politically
Graham
correct,
is
but
a great Graham is a great director because he will actually just stop and talk nonsense with you about your character.
Right. Why
as
are
long
you
as
doing
you're
that?
willing to talk about
Right.
her. It doesn't
Why did you
necessarily
just cross the stage?
Right, it
It's
doesn't
great.
have to be just about lines or blocking. I mean,
Right.
you can just stop and be like, okay, you know, I'm having a hard time figuring out why she would do this.
Right.
And then we just sit and hash it out. And I mean, we have
And you've been
conversations about these
detrimental
people
in the development of it.
and work it out. And it's just a great feeling to know that you can come in and just be like, look, I don't get it. Can we talk
Right,
about this?
right.
why do I say
Right.
what?
Right, you know, and it's a statement. There's no question mark.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's great working with him because he's willing to, that's the exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's the stuff that turns my crank, man.
Right,
That's-
and you know, the
Yeah.
other pieces of the character, and as we discuss it all and we work it all out, and then we just store it away in the back of the head, and you never get to know that. But for us, it helps.
Right.
It helps to motivate you. It helps to know where you're going, why you say these things. Why do I hate Cletus so much? You know,
Right.
it's-
Right. Right.
we can
Why does
talk.
everybody hate Cletus so much?
I
Poor
like
guy.
One
Yes,
rehearsal,
he's
we
my
had about a
friend.
20-minute
Because of
conversation
this.
about mine and Cletus past, you know, and
Right.
kind of made up this wild story, and
Oh.
it was really good to help me develop that
Cool.
side of Roy.
Yeah, that's
Good.
the fun
The
stuff.
Cletus side, yeah.
It is the fun stuff. It's really the fun stuff. Okay. Well, Friday night, 8 o'clock.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Yep.
Surprisingly calm, but every once in a
No.
while I'm like, oh wow.
You know,
Wow.
it usually hits right before you go on stage.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
could leave. My script's
I'll
back
be
here
fine
highlighted.
until
You guys will be
I'm
fine.
waving
I'm
the
out.
way.
Yeah.
But it changes the minute you actually go through the curtains and you get on the stage. It changes. Suddenly it's
You
like,
can-
okay, I own this.
Right.
I
yeah.
own this. This
You
is my
can-
yard. This is my area.
And you know it. We've rehearsed it so much, you
Mhm.
know it. You know what I mean?
Well, and the audience is such, it's like our missing character, you know, you
Right.
can feel the audience breathing, you can feel them listening, and when they're not listening, you, I mean, the
Well,
audience
it's exciting
is.
because they're gonna laugh.
I know.
But we're gonna have to
Oh,
stop
yeah.
for that.
Right.
You know, it's like that is a funny thing.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to add our last character.
Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed, we do. We're at a point now where we really do need an audience. That's,
We do.
that's really what's the
So
final
come,
thing.
Come to the show.
So yes, come to the show. 8 o'clock Friday, and it runs through.
May 17th.
Yes.
Tickets are $15.
Yes.
And 8 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays, and
Sunday matinee.
Sunday matinee at 2 o'clock.
No
And
Thursday
where are
shows.
tickets available?
Online or at the door.
MurphysCreekTheater.org.
Yeah, or at
Thank you,
Blackboard
stage
Theater.
manager.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Break a leg.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you there.